Good morning. It is the 14th of November 2022. Welcome. This is Kirk in the morning. Hoping that you're having a great Monday and you had a great weekend. Mine was great and I'm so happy to be joining you today yet again just to let you know of what exactly will be happening throughout the week and what exactly we have in store for you as far as a Kirk in the morning show is concerned. And before we start, just to let you know that we are also coming to you live on Facebook as well as YouTube, that is Kirk TV Kenya. On Twitter is Kirk TV _Kenya and Ida _Munzati. You can join in and just share in your views as far as our topic of discussion is concerned. This morning we will be looking at infertility, that is in both men and women, just focusing on the causes as well as diagnosis. And because we do not just want to leave you with the problem, we'll definitely be sharing solutions or treatment as well as management with you. So we will start with the traffic update, but just before that, remember we'll also be having a newspaper review. And just to let you know that today the world is marking World Diabetes Day. There'll be an event just led with the Ministry of Education, led by the minister, that is Susan Wafula Nahumicha, and we'll just be letting you know of what exactly or what strategy does the government have as far as diabetes management and prevention is concerned. I'll also be sharing in a few clips or just preventive measures, even as we try to understand what exactly diabetes is, just looking at diabetes type 1, diabetes type 2, as well as gestation diabetes, that is diabetes in pregnancy. I'll be doing that with the help of Dr. Eric Njenga, who is a diabetologist at Aga Khan Hospital. But before we get into that, let's go straight to the traffic update. And just looking at Langata Road this morning is not quite clear. So we are looking at Langata Road, that is not as clear. Just looking at around Wilson Airport, that is the road headed to the CBD, but on the opposite lane the road seems to be very much clear. Probably could be just because there are less activity or just a few people headed to that direction of Nairobi. So as I said, that is Langata Road is quite clogged up. Looking at Mbagathi Way as well, there is quite a lot of traffic. So if you're headed to the CBD, I would prefer or just tell you to use from Langata Road. You'll rather take the Nyayo Road instead of just branching to Mbagathi and through Kenyatta Avenue. That's it. Looking at looking at the Hospital Road around Upper Hill area, the road seems to be clear, so it's only clogged up around Langata Road or around Mbagathi Road, but just headed to the Upper Hill area as well as around Kenyatta Hospital, it seems to be a little bit clear. But just focusing on the CBD, where a number of us are headed to this morning. The CBD definitely being a Monday, the area looks to be quite busy. Looking at Kenyatta Avenue, there's a little bit of traffic, but it's definitely moving. Valley Road, it's quite clear. So if you're headed to the CBD, you can definitely use Valley Road. It's quite clear. There is no traffic at all. So as I mentioned, the CBD this morning seems to be a very busy. Looking at Moi Avenue, there's quite some traffic there. Haile Selassie today looks very clear. There's no traffic at all. Just looking at Haile Selassie, both ways are very clear. So for today, it's only the people using Langata Road that will be finding it difficult just to enter the CBD area. So I think that is it for the traffic update. We take a very short breather. We'll be back with the newspaper review. Well, it's now time for the newspaper review, and as always, I have the Daily Nation right here and the Standard newspaper. And coincidentally, both the Daily Nation and the Standard newspaper, they're just talking over President Ruto's tenure and definitely his mission. And the Daily Nation is actually talking of man on a mission. Just looking at the number of days that President Ruto has been in office and the number of meetings that the president has been able to hold right there. So they're talking of a man on a mission. Ruto's 126 meetings in 60 days. So in 60 days, President Ruto has been able to hold 126 meetings right there. And just an excerpt from the Daily Nation. President Ruto has held 126 publicized meetings in his 60 days in office, hosting as many as 4 a day amid pressure to deliver on the many promises he made on the campaign trail. A Nation Newsplex analysis shows that since his swearing in on September 13th, he has not been engaged on only 5 days. So that is in 60 days. Let us talk of probably 55 days. He's had 126 meetings right there. And just looking at the Standard, the Daily Nation, they've been able just to share a map of how exactly the 126 meetings have been, or how the 60 days have been. They're talking of his meeting right there in London, that is in the UK, looking at New York or the United States, his meeting during the United Nations Assembly, looking at COP27, where he was just a few days before, that is during the climate change talks, that is the COP27 conference that is still happening in Egypt. They're also looking at his visit in Uganda, where he attended Uganda's 60th anniversary celebrations. He also visited Tanzania as well as Ethiopia. So we'll definitely just get to see over his 100 days in office of how many meetings will he have held, and not just holding or having meetings, but what fruits will these meetings have as far as the country is concerned, and definitely looking at stabilizing the economy. So that's the story on the top page of the Daily Nation. Just going that is to the second page of the Daily Nation. We have World Bank will ensure good use of climate funds. And this is definitely just a response from the World Bank during the COP27 conference that is still happening in Egypt. It will be ending this Friday, that is at the 18th of November. So you can read for yourself an in-depth story right there in the Daily Nation that is actually spreading from page 2 to page 3 of the Daily Nation. Now to the fourth page of the Daily Nation. It's definitely issues to do with politics. MPs now target Uhuru era laws for amendment. So they're just having, remember the previous week, there was a conversation about the MP who leaked just a number of conversations as far as the era or law amendment is concerned. So you can get that story or just read for yourself in-depthly. That is on the fourth page of the Daily Nation. The fifth page is a PS nominees vetting set to start today. And definitely there are a number of people that will be vetted today. And just referring, that is on the Standard newspaper, we have Roslyn Jogu, Aurelia Rono, Chris Kipto, as well as James Muhati. Those are just some of the PSs that will be vetted starting today, probably throughout the week. We have a number of PSs that definitely were nominated by President William Ruto. Looking at the sixth page, President busy, but hustlers yet to feel his hard work. So they are just talking over the common mwananchi or the Wanjiko, as the president is busy holding probably 126 meetings. How exactly is Wanjiko benefiting from the numerous meetings that President Ruto is actually holding. So you can get it from page 6 as well as page 7 of the standard news of the Daily Nation. And on page 7, they are also looking at Ruto's dilemma in cutting costs and rewarding loyalists. So you can get it on page 7 of the Daily Nation. Just looking at page 8, they're now going into the counties, just focusing on Makueni, and they're talking of the former governor, that is Kivuta Kibwana. They're talking of Kibwana quits politics and eyes on state job. So you can get to read for yourself what state job is this that the former Makueni governor Kivuta Kibwana is actually eyeing as far as the leadership of the country is concerned. So you can read for yourself. There is a stories from page 1 to page 8 of the Daily Nation. And just going to page 10 now. No prison break as committee turns to modern technology. So committee is actually, or the committee maximum prison is actually embracing a modern technology just to do away with the prison breaks in that particular prison. So that is page 10 of the standard of the Daily Nation. We also have a photo right there of Archbishop Anthony Muheria. Remember, that is on Thursday, they actually gave a presser in Mombasa just talking of a number of issues in the country. They talked of issues to do with climate change, that is the hunger that is facing a number of people due to a drought as a result of climate change. They also talked about the peace that has been in the country since the country went to the ballot. So you can get it on page 10 of the Daily Nation. And now let us switch gears straight to the Standard newspaper. So on the top page, as I mentioned, it's quite coincidental that we have both Ruto's agenda on both the Daily Nation as well as the Standard newspaper. So we are looking at how Ruto's budget cuts will affect you. That is at the top story on the Standard newspaper. So they are talking over 300 billion Kenya shillings headache. Treasury has asked all accounting officers to submit revised estimates this week that will seek the government trim its spending. According to the circular, no new projects will be launched, an indicator that job creation will be slow. The move will also grossly affect civil servants, media and suppliers. Remember earlier last week, that is President Ruto actually talked of cutting 300 billion shillings from the from the current budget. That is, so they are talking of 100% purchase of furniture, as well as, so those are just some of the sectors in the country that will be affected by the 300 billion shillings cut that is from the budget. And they're talking of civil servants, they're talking of the media, as well as suppliers, as far as the budget cut is concerned. So they are also looking at a vetting of PSS that is set to begin today. We had mentioned of those that will begin the vetting process. That is Roslyn Jogu. We have Aurelia Rono, Chris Kipto, as well as James Muhati, who will be vetted today, even as the exercise kicks off early this morning. And we will definitely be letting you know of how exactly the process will be taking shape. So looking at the second page, they're still talking of Kivuta Kibwana, just how he wants to quit politics, that is the county politics, and now setting his eyes to the state politics, or just state roles. Right there, you can get it, or just get that story. That is on page 2 of the Standard newspaper. Page 3, that is for the Standard newspaper. It's quite a unique story right there. They are talking of World War II veterans feted by Britain for their service and sacrifice. So we are looking, that is a number of veterans right there who are just being awarded right there from the UK Deputy High Commissioners. Just a story that you can get it on page 3 of the Standard newspaper. And now on page 4, which is a conversation that has actually hit a number of social media platforms, just especially on Twitter, just looking at doping. Are our athletes getting fixed, and who benefits from it? So on issues to do with doping, is it a matter of the athletes going for these particular drugs, or is someone actually fixing them? So you can get the story on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. It splits or it just spills over to page 5 of the Standard newspaper. And just an excerpt here from Moses Kiptanui, who is the 300 meter steeplechase, or the former 300 meter steeplechase world champion. Just an excerpt from him, and I quote, "Young athletes don't want to train hard for good performance. I tell you, it's just like a cancer. It might not end anytime soon. All stakeholders are part of the mess. Athletes take the wrong route to get to the top. Doping is a business." So what's your view as far as doping and athletes is concerned? Do you think it's actually a business, or do you think that the athletes are actually just being fixed and there is someone who is actually benefiting from that? You can definitely send in your opinions. That is via our SMS number 01112244, or via Facebook and YouTube. That is Kirk TV Kenya. You can also just reach out to us via Twitter. That is Kirk TV _Kenya, and Ida _Munzati. That is on Twitter. Just going to the 6th page of the Standard newspaper, they're actually looking over the 51 PSs that will be vetting starting today. So they're looking at nominees to face House team for vetting. So we have quite a number of faces right there. We have Aurelia Rono, as I mentioned earlier. We have Julius Bitok. We have Josephine Boro. We have Philip Kelo, as well as Harry Kimtai. We also have Chris Kipto, Julius Korir, Raymond Omolo, James Muhati, as well as Harry Kimtai. So on the 6th page as well as the 7th page of the Standard newspaper, you can just read for yourself, or just get to understand and know the profile of the 51 PSs that will be vetted starting today. We head over to the 8th page of the Standard newspaper. So they are looking at Ruto's painful austerity measures to hit civil servants, traders very hard. So definitely civil servants, as well as a service provider and the media, are just some of the people that will be hit hard, just in case the 300 billion is cut from the current budget. As I said earlier, remember the president just talked of cutting this money, that is 300 billion Kenyan shillings, from the current budget. So when the next budget will be read sometime next year, it will actually be minus 300 billion shillings. So Ruto plan not to borrow at more than 10% spells economic doom. So that's a story on page 10. And just on Friday, that is, President Ruto was actually talking of how the government intends to start borrowing from Kenyan savings, even as he continued just encouraging Kenyans to just embrace the saving culture. According to him, he will prefer actually not borrowing from the developed countries, but just borrowing from, let me talk of SACCOs, as well as the pension money. Remember, this is where the president, for the second time, he actually talked of increasing, that is the NSSF contribution from 200 shillings to a higher figure. So that is as far as just stabilizing the economy, as far as the Kenya Kwanza government is concerned. Now on the 12th page of the Standard newspaper, we have Mudavadi says, don't expect tax rises. We just want more people to pay up. So in case you are earning more, Salim Mudavadi is talking over, you will need to pay more or your tax will definitely be increased. So that is from page 12, and you can definitely read for yourself the remaining pages. That is from the Standard newspaper as well as the Daily Nation. So that is all we had for you as far as the Standard newspaper and the Daily Nation, or just generally the newspaper review is concerned. We take a breather. We'll be right back. Well, so we will be taking quite a very short break. Remember, as I mentioned, our topic of discussion this morning is on issues to do with infertility, that is in both men and women. We will be looking at the causes, diagnosis, as well as treatment, that is with the help of a fertility expert, that is Faith Kemunto, who will just be helping us in understanding infertility, that is in both men and women. So that's a good conversation that you actually do not want to miss this morning right here on Kirk in the Morning. And as I had mentioned in the onset of this particular broadcasting, is that today is actually World Diabetes Day, and the Ministry of Health will actually be having an event around Kawangware where they'll just be looking at issues to do with diabetes, issues to do with insulin access as well. And as I mentioned, we'll just be having a short conversation or a short educational video that is from Dr. Eric Njenga, who is a diabetologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital. So we take a very short break. We'll be right back with the infertility conversation.
It's Christmas already here at Kirk TV. Are you a business looking to advertise your brand and products to potential customers? Are you looking to improve your sales as we end the year? Starting this October till January 31st, 2023, we are offering you, our customer, various discounts up to 50% off our advertising rates. Imagine paying half the price to reach customers countrywide. Usiwachwe nyuma hii krisi. Call our sales teams now on 0738-278-506 or 0739-971-607. Contact us on email bnkogie@kirktv.org or munyoroku@kirktv.org for more information. Hurry and book now. Pamoja tuvuke mwaka. It's the Kirk TV and your advert bonanza.
PCA Housing Cooperative Society Limited, a cooperative society under the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, brings you Baraka Gardens. Located 2.5 kilometers from Ardhi Shopping Center, 15 minutes from Thika Superhighway at the 40 by 80 serviced plots. It is a fast developing area strategically located at a central place for easy access to the capital city and Thika town. Nearby social amenities include a police station and primary school, water and electricity. The plots sell at 560,000 Kenyan shillings for PCA Housing Society members, 600,000 shillings for non-members. The prices are inclusive of the title deed fee. For more information, call 0708 145 222, 0708 145 222. Hurry and grab your plot now. Pay a deposit of 200,000 Kenyan shillings and the balance in 3 months. Baraka Gardens by PCA Housing Cooperative Society Limited.
PCEA Githunguri Presbytery invites you for the 2022 Rites of Passage sessions starting from the 5th to 16th of December at Githiga Children's Center. Charges for boys are 8,300 Kenya shillings for the sessions. An alternative Rites of Passage for girls will start from 12th to 16th December. The charges are 5,300 Kenya shillings. Some of the topics to be covered will be Bible study and Christian growth, communication and relationships, manhood, womanhood and adulthood, self-awareness and peer influence, adolescence and sexuality, drugs and substance abuse, among other impactful topics. Registration is ongoing at all PCEA parishes within Githunguri and at the Githunguri Presbytery office. For more information, get in touch with Githunguri Presbytery office through their number 0721 844 064, 0721 844 064. You can also get in touch with Reverend Samuel Gakuya, Mr. George Kagodho, and Reverend Lydia Kahiga.
A 198 countries will convene this November in Egypt. Together, they'll tackle this giant climate change. Catch the analysis of the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP27 live on Kirk TV as the conference kicks off from Sunday 6th November to Friday 18th November. The time for climate action is now. Together for implementation.
How I would urge men not only in barrios when one has gone to be with the Lord that we are planting trees. Let's be intentional, deliberate, and in particular this rainy season. Let's not allow the rains to drop on our heads as it drops on the ground. Let's also be on the ground planting trees and growing them, and later few years, the Kenya with the drought will be a place to enjoy.
We are at a time when the world is meeting in Egypt to discuss about climate change. And I want us to remember that in the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, God gave us the whole creation and gave the human being opportunity to till the land. We are to be the stewardship of the environment. And one of the things that he told us is, God told the humanity, is to till the earth and also to have dominion over it. When we look around us, we see that the creation has taken dominion over us, not us taking dominion over the environment, because we have a lot of droughts, we have a lot of flooding, and all these are caused because we have changed the way God created the environment. One way is by cutting the trees and making the world become more and more of a desert. Because trees God had designed, they were to filter the air and take away the components that can cause the global warming. But now we have cut the trees and the world is crying. All the things that we are seeing is because we are not taking care of the environment as God wanted us to do it. And God is calling us back to think environment, to think about environment. One way is to plant trees, because trees will filter the air and make the environment better. The seasons will come back, and also we shall have a cleaner environment. Sicknesses will reduce if we plant trees. So we are being reminded, even by the word of God, that we need to take care of the environment so that the environment can take care of us, so that we can have food, we can have rains, and all of us can participate. We can participate by making sure we plant some trees today. You can plant trees in the compound where you live. You can plant trees among the crops that you are growing, because that will also enhance the soil and enable our environment to be good. Let us take care of the environment. Let us not throw things into the water, clogging the water and polluting the water. Let us not throw rubbish in the environment. Let us take care. Wherever we are, let us remember God has kept us here to take care of the earth. When we take care of the environment, it will take care of us, because that is the way God made it to be. I pray that all of us will heed to the call of God to be good nurturers of our environment. Thank you very much.
Fellow Kenyans and Christians, I urge you, things are not good. Aki, mambo si poa. Hii environment tuitunze jameni. Let us plant trees. And please don't say you don't have anywhere to plant trees. Each one of us can plant 1, 2, 10, as many trees as we can. Because even if you have a small plot and you are saying you don't have space to plant a tree, if we have drought, even that small piece of land that you have will not help you. Ninawasihi nyinyi wote, mkubali tupande miti. Our institutions tupande miti. Makanisani tupande miti. Kwetu manyumbani, hata wale watu tunaishi town, panda miti hata kama ni kwa bucket. Na hiyo miti itatupatia hewa safi. Na hiyo miti itatupatia mazingira mazuri. Wakati huu ni kugumu, ninawasihi kama mwenzenu, Mkenya mwenzenu, Mkristo mwenzenu, mkubali tuungane mikono, tupande miti. Na miti ni uhai. Tafadhali, tupande miti. Asanteni sana.
It's extremely humbling. It's very inspiring to see the leaders discussing about COP27 happening in Egypt, about climate change, about sustainable development goals crafted by the UN in 2015. And we are happy to say that leaders out there need to know that environment is key. Climate change is real, and we have an action to do in our businesses, in our churches, in our organizations, in our mosque, that whatever that we do, we need to reduce the carbon footprint. Those who are doing manufacturing, let's ensure that we are using green energy. Those who are in real estate, let's encourage green building. Optiven, we have a program, we are calling it Go Green, whereby we inspire our people to plant trees. We encourage our customers to use, to recycle the water. We also discourage the disposing of plastic, especially in our oceans, because we must be able to save life under the sea. And for us as leaders, we have a responsibility to take care of our planet Earth. We have no other planet. We need to implement all sustainable goals, be it life in water, life under the land, be it sustainability of our environment, so that we are able to fight these issues of climate change. And I'm happy to say that many business people are now talking about carbon credits, that whatever you can do, if you are in construction like Optiven, ensure you use national lighting, that we are able to reduce the carbon out there. And once you do that, the planet is going to be more friendlier. Let's take care of our planet Earth. We have nowhere else to go. This is the only one that we do have. Those who are doing agriculture, let's be careful on the pesticides and the insecticides that we are using, to ensure that we are using, chemicals that are manageable, especially with the human habitation. And we have a responsibility. Let's do it. See you at COP27.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Christians, this is Reverend Robert Waihenya, and I love the Lord as my personal Savior, the Secretary General of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa. And I'm here making a call to all Christians and to everybody during this time when we are campaigning to plant trees as we take care of our environment. And I'm calling upon all Christians and all Kenyans, and more so our Presbyterian community, to now aggressively engage on planting trees so that we can take care of our environment. Let us, even if you have a small yard, let us take time so that we can plant trees, because we cannot have a great nation, we cannot have a great country unless we have enough trees to take care of our environment. So let us make our country great. Let us take care of our environment, and let us all make a step, go and get somewhere and plant a tree, and make sure that in your backyard you have several trees to take care of the small environment you have there. And for corporate bodies, let us all work together so that we can plant enough trees for our environment. We started the campaign some few years back where we call upon our Presbyterians to ensure we plant 1 million trees per year. It is now a clarion call so that we can now plant more trees, more than 1 million, because as you have seen, our climate has changed.
Christmas already here at Kirk TV, the season of
Welcome back to Kirk in the morning. As I had promised earlier on, is that we will be looking at issues to do with infertility, that is in both men and women. And we definitely have an expert with us. Faith, you're welcome. Thank you so much for creating time to come in for the show. I'll just give you an opportunity to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Wow. Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this platform so that at least I can be in a position to educate the media about infertility. Yeah, well, my name is Faith Kemuto. I work in one of the top leading fertility clinics in Nairobi, whereby we do IVF and IUI and all matters pertaining fertility. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. So, for starters, let us just look at infertility. I know that it's quite a broad area to look at, but within the 1 hour that we have, we'll just try as much as possible to make sure that we are educating you, our viewer. And just to let you know, before we start our conversation, is that we are also coming to you live, that is on Facebook as well as YouTube, that is Kirk TV Kenya. On Twitter, you can just get into the conversation and just share in your opinions as well as views. If you have any question, that is Kirk TV _Kenya and Ida _Munzati. So Faith, let's just start by looking at the numbers as far as infertility is concerned. How many people are affected, and how does the number look like?
Okay, well, before I go to that question, I'd want us to understand what infertility is. So basically, infertility has been classified as the 5th globally, from the World Health Organization's statistics, infertility has been classified as the 5th topmost disability. So, well, infertility, this is how we define infertility. It is infertility can be defined as the disability to become pregnant, or rather to naturally conceive, and this one is always attained after a couple has stayed together. They are having intercourse without any protection for a period of 1 year without getting any product, or rather without getting a child. So this one can be caused by age, especially for us ladies. So when a lady is beyond 35 years of age, now we reduce the number of months to 6 months. They have stayed with the partner, or for 6 months at 35 of age, and you are not able to conceive naturally. That is when you're supposed to come and visit a gynecologist or a fertility expert to determine what could be the cause of that. Yeah, so globally, not even globally, in Kenya, the current statistics that we have for infertility cases is between 15 to 20% for both male and female infertility. So if you take a closer look at it, conservatively, in the Kenyan nation, we are about 50 million beings. So basically that means 15 to 20%, let's work with 15%. So basically that is 7.5 million Kenyans suffering from infertility. If we look at it more closely, for you to have a rough idea or a figurative count for the 7.5 million, in Nairobi alone, we are around 4 million. If we could take, the neighboring counties like Kiambu County, put a little bit of Kajiado area, and put a little bit of Nakuru, lock it in. You can imagine all those individuals having that disability, that is infertility. So you can imagine how it has taken a toll over us and the stigma that is associated with it. So it's something that we really need to discuss about and see how best we can manage. Yeah.
All right. So just from your numbers, it's quite, let me put it as an issue or a problem in the society, just as you put it, just taking the Nairobi metropolitan area, there's quite a number of people already affected. Yeah. And just you've mentioned of what infertility is, and just to make it clear that if I'm below the age of 35 years, so I'll say that I'm infertile. That is if I'm not able to conceive within 6 months or 1.
Below the age of 35 years, it's within a period of 1 year, having intercourse without any contraceptive. That is when you're supposed to get worried. And I'll explain later the reason as to why this differs with the age, especially for us ladies. Yeah.
All right. And now let us just try and see how exactly probably a conception or the making of a baby happens. Probably what could be the problem. That is, you've mentioned age as a factor, but what could be the problem? Let us just start with women first. What could be the problem, or what are the causes?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, ladies first. Before I go to that, I would like to tell you that we have 2 types of infertility. That is primary infertility and secondary infertility. Primary infertility is whereby the couple has never had any kids. For secondary infertility is whereby a couple had babies before, but they have stayed for another time, like 2 years, 3 years. They are yet to get to their second baby or third babies, but they cannot do it naturally. So then we have causes of infertility, and for ladies, I'll start with ladies, definitely. And our number 1, as I mentioned about the age, as ladies, age is a big factor, because when you are born, when a girl is born, they're born with all their complete set of eggs, as opposed to our counterparts who are men, who after every 3 months, they produce new, sperms, new production. So for us ladies, as you grow, you see, naturally, puberty starts at around 12 years, up until, menopause. So then look at a girl who was born with around, in every menstrual time period, we shed eggs.
Yeah.
So when you shed, it means the quantity is going low,
Reduces as
and the
well.
quality as you age also goes down. So then by the time you get to 35 years, let's imagine, let's just take a conservative number of like you started your menses when you are 12 years old. Now you're at the age of 35. You're shedding off, you know, your periods on a monthly basis. So 35 years minus 12 months. So basically, those are how many? 23 years that you've been losing an egg on each month, on each year. So for 23 years times 12 eggs on a monthly basis. So that is basically 180 eggs there. 200, you can do the math for me. Yeah, so well, or the viewers can do the math. So you find out that as we age, the eggs reduce, the quantity of eggs reduce, and the quality also goes lower. So by the time you're 35 years old, your egg is not, you know, of good quality. So that is the reason as why we say that in 6 months when you try to conceive and there is failure, then you need to visit us. Yeah.
Okay.
Age being number one. Another reason that is broadly known is the uterine fibroids. Uterine fibroids are growths that grow within the endometrium. The endometrium is, I'll give an example, like you see in this hall where we are inside.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to give an example of how the endometrium looks like in the uterus. Within this hall is what we call an endometrium, where the baby attaches itself. Outside the hall is a myometrium outside. So you find these uterine fibroids, they implant themselves inside here. So that restricts the sperm from, you know, attaching to the egg in the right way. So then it becomes very difficult for natural conception to occur. Yeah.
All right. So we are looking at fibroids, the issues to do with age as well. Any other factors?
Yes, we have other things called the endometriosis. That is also a disorder. As I told you, the inside of the womb, that is what we call the endometrium. Now the endometrium being aligning, it reaches a point whereby the endometrium can cramp itself. It's not so straight, the lining is not so well aligned within the uterus, and so you find it cramping. That is when you find out that you come up with that condition called endometriosis, whereby this endometriosis, this is how the symptoms come in. You find out a lady having very heavy periods, abdominal cramps, whereby you even find them crawling. That is a first sign for you to see that you have endometriosis. So when you have endometriosis, it's very also difficult for you to conceive. We also have other factors like PCOS. PCOS is what we call polycystic ovarian syndrome, whereby cysts also grow within that. We have social issues like drinking, smoking, and you know, nowadays we say that we've empowered a woman. The girl child is well empowered, and so what a man can do, a girl can do better. So our girls or our ladies have decided to go out on that social, you know, platform, and they decide to drink themselves, not knowing that that one can actually affecting their infertility, because drinking too much can affect the functions of other body organs, like, you know, the liver, even the way you reason. And now when other organs are not well, you know, functioning, it trips down to the reproductive health system. And so you find yourself having trouble conceiving naturally. Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we go to, let me just talk of the reasons that you've given. Now, for the external factors, you've mentioned of smoking, alcohol as well. Does this apply to men as well, even as you bring in now the other factors or causes of infertility in men?
Yeah, it does. As I said, we categorize the drinking part, alcoholism, drug abuse, mirror, and such like drug abuse, drugs that are abused. They affect the body's functions. So then they also affect the processing of their sperms, and then limiting the chances of natural conception. Yeah.
All right. Now to the other causes.
Yeah.
That is of infertility in men.
Yeah, well, now to men, age is not a factor, but that is why you actually find out that a 70-year-old man can, go ahead and impregnate even a 20-something-year-old lady, because then they do a production of the sperms after every 3 months. Yeah, so for the men, we have blocked tubes. So this condition of blocked tubes is called varicocele, whereby within their testicles, we have the vas deferens. We have a certain organ called the vas deferens, whereby you find out that it has been blocked. Most probably, when this boy was being, born, the mother or the caregiver was not, checking out on the testicles how they were. So as they grow, you find out that the tubes block, the testicles as well become undescended, and that is a condition we call descended testicles. And when the testicles are, in that pattern, there is failure for the sperms now to walk through so that they can be able to impregnate a woman. Another big factor that affects men is a condition we call azoospermia. Azoospermia is a condition whereby, the man completely doesn't have any sperms. Or they have a low sperm count. Yeah, so in such a condition, mostly, the man can be able to ejaculate, they can have an orgasm, but when it comes to the sperms, the fluid content, it only has the semen, but it does not have the sperm. And we both know that it's the sperm that has to reach the egg for fertilization to take place. Yeah, so that is it for the men. Yeah.
Okay, now for men, you've mentioned of a tubal blockage.
Yeah.
Does this also happen to women?
Yes, it does. Actually, 80% of the patients that visit our hospital, for the ladies, it's always a condition of blocked tubes. And these blocked tubes, as I told you, take an example of my arms being, the tubes, and, the ovaries hanging down here.
Yeah.
So once the tubes are blocked, it's just obvious that conception cannot take place because the sperms cannot move through to the egg so that fertilization can take place. But in such a scenario whereby we have blocked tubes for a woman, we always send them to have an imaging, or rather an x-ray to be done for them, because that is not what you can do like a physical examination. They have to undergo an imaging whereby they do a test called HSG. That test is the one that will actually determine the tubal blockage. Yeah.
Right, now talking of, let me say you've talked of a sperm count for men. Does it mean that probably if a man does not have the right number of sperms for fertilization to occur, are we looking at the reduction in number in terms of the speed to which now the sperm reaches the egg, or how exactly? Probably just explaining it in a layman's language.
Okay, well, thanks, Aida, for that question. Yeah, well, about the sperm, we always look at so many categories within a sperm. So basically, there is a test that we call semen analysis. In this semen analysis, we only extract that content through masturbation. Apparently, our Africans, or rather our Kenyan men, it's something that they wouldn't even think of doing it. But anyway, they have to do it for us to test. So then the content of that ejaculate, in 1 milliliter content, we are supposed to have 20 million sperms. So a man can ejaculate up to 3 milliliters of that content of the ejaculate. And if 1 milliliter has to account for 20 million, so for these 3 milliliters, we are looking at 60 million viable sperms, When you're looking at that is the content now. So for the sperm again, we look at the morphology. The morphology of the sperm, how it looks like. The sperm normally has a head, it has a neck, and it has a tail. So we are supposed to look at it. How is the morphology? How does it look? Can this head be in a position to swim up until it reaches to the egg? How is the tail? Is it able to attach itself to the, you see? So if the morphology is not as it is supposed to be scientifically, then it means these sperms cannot be in a position to fertilize the egg. Number two thing that we look on this sperm, we look at the motility. How do they swim? How fast do they swim? So if the sperm swims so slow, basically they'll not be in a position to to fertilize the egg or to reach the egg at the right time, right? So then there are some supplements that men are given to boost such scenarios, or better still, if you find out that this it's just an ejaculate without even the sperms completely, we have a surgical procedure that we even go ahead to do, so that we can be in a position even to extract only one sperm. And the surgical procedure is called testicular sperm aspiration. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So it's not just the issue of you producing sperms, it's also probably just the components or how your sperm looks like for fertilization to occur.
Exactly, yeah. Yes.
Now you've mentioned of masturbation. Before we just get to the next question, a number of men would ask, and numerous of them have actually reached out to me via social media just to ask, does masturbation lead to infertility?
Okay, well, I would say no, scientifically it's not yet proven, because once you masturbate, you're basically, it's a psychological thing. I'll say it does not lead to infertility, but it has other psychological factors that you'd be affected with. Yes.
Okay. Now, just when we started the interview, you talked of, let me just put it as a stigma that is probably just associated with infertility. And you've mentioned that it's both a man's issue and a women's issue. So why is it that probably, let me say, in a relationship or in marriage, when there is the issue of infertility, it's the woman that is pinpointed and not the man? Is it that probably the chances of a woman being infertile is high compared to men?
Awesome question. Yeah, well, I would want to give out, to explain to you that question as I pinpoint the current statistics of the factors now, not the general statistics of infertility. As I said, infertility is caused by both male and female factors. Apparently, 45% causes of infertility are due to male factors. 35% factors. There's a remaining 15%, 30%, sorry, whereby 15% are other factors, and a very slim, which is 5%, we call unexplained factors. Unexplained factors. So then, when we look at infertility, most, in our African, I would call it like infertility is like an infertility belt. It's a belt from the sub-Saharan countries, European countries, up to the African. Us women are the ones who carry the evidence of pregnancy. The only, thing that can tell you, this couple is infertile, it's because the lady can not carry the pregnancy. There is no way you can tell a man is, has an infertility issue, yet they're just, walking around. They can actually even, have intercourse normally, ejaculate, have any fluid coming out, but there is no way you can physically diagnose that, a man has any infertility issues. So then that is why our culturally, a woman is the one who's, normally pinpointed as infertile person. I'll give you something, maybe maybe a scenario. I've seen a couple come to our center. Once this couple comes to our center, they man states that this is the second marriage to the man. So the man states that in his previous marriage, he had kids. Here is the second marriage. So in this second marriage, he comes in, they have stayed probably for 5, 6 years or even 2 years, whatever. But in this scenario, they had stayed for 2 years without getting a child. So everybody else is pinpointing to the lady. You're the one who has a problem. Our brother, our son, our uncle, our cousin had other kids from the previous marriage. So then when they come in, look at it, closely, they find out that it's the guy. It's the guy who had an issue. No sperms at all. The lady is all okay. So then you see, it's very mean to people in the society. They really need to have an understanding so that they can give such couples psychosocial support to understand that infertility is just a disability. It's only that can actually be treated because we have reproductive, or rather we have technologically proven ways of actually taking care of that condition. Yeah, and so to say, another reason as to why they keep on pinpointing on the lady is that, you see, socially, ladies are vocal. We are always all over. Ladies, we are in church, we are in social platforms. So you find out that these women, they are married. They are with the husband from time to time. But in a cultural, now the traditional way set up, it said that, whenever a couple, they are together, a man is the one who's supposed to go out for work very far. And so them meeting from time to time, you'd find out that probably this man, whenever they are having a meetup with the wife, it's when the wife is not ovulating. And you see, they have not yet even done any test to find out what is the problem. You find out that even both of these couple, none of them has any infertility issue. It's only that this work, and they are only visiting each other, or they are having intercourse whenever they are not on the ovulation days. So they fail to do that.
Wow. And you're explaining it very well. I think with your examples as well, they are very relatable, and I'm sure people at home can relate as well. I'll want us to still talk on the issue of ovulation, but I'll want us to bring in later on a little bit. I'll just know where to bring it up. But on the issue, just on the causes of infertility, we have women as well as men probably, but let me just talk of women that are on different birth control methods. Let's say, for example, Ida has been on the Femiplan pills or has been on any form of birth control, whether long-term or short-term. But immediately I get out of this contraceptive method or birth control method, I'm unable to conceive, all right? So what period should I give myself immediately after getting out of a contraceptive method? What period should I give myself for me to now tell myself that it's not working? Probably I have an infertility issue.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question, and you've actually reminded me of more other points to bring on board. So, contraception, we have two types of contraceptives. We have the hormonal one and we have the non-hormonal one. Our bodies as ladies, we have hormones, both progesterone and estrogen, that helps us in these, fertility areas. So then, when you are on a contraceptive, either hormonal or non-hormonal, our periods will probably be irregular, or some contraceptives will regularize the hormonal, concept in your body. So then, as Ida, as you said, you've been on these contraceptives for this long, and now you've decided to take off the contraceptive. But you're trying to conceive, you're not able to conceive. So then give yourself 3 months, because you see your body, the functions, the hormonal function within your body has been disrupted. So then we advise that you give yourself 6 weeks to 3 months. You try. If it fails, then you have hormonal tests that you'll have to undergo. These hormonal tests range from AMH, that's a hormonal test. We have prolactin hormonal tests, so that they check how your hormones are functioning. From there, we can be in a position to advise the way forward. But basically, that one should not be a causative, like a factor to say that because I've been on contraceptions, then I'm having an infertility issue. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So it could actually be an issue that has not been brought forth even with the birth control. It's just an issue that probably you had.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. Previously, probably you had your own, you know, infertility issue, but it's not that it has been brought forth through the contraception. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
You just mentioned that from my question, you had a number of issues.
Oh
to bring
yeah,
forth as
you
well.
you also stated about about the hormones. Now, I wanted to mention something about irregular periods. We have women outside here who have irregular periods. Probably maybe somebody coming in with the periods after 3 months. I've had a patient who has come forth with periods after 3 years. So you see, when you come all those 3 years, you've noticed that you've not had your periods for a good, you know, period. That's 3 years. And
Quite long.
Yeah, that's a quite long period for you. It's time for you to get checked, because for 3 years without periods, then it means, you know, the ovulation triangle, or rather the ovulation lineage cannot be able to be traced, and so it can actually account to infertility on that angle. So irregular periods as well is an issue for ladies. Yeah. So if you find out if you find yourself that you're having, you know, irregular long periods of menses, or very short, it's something for you to come forth before it comes worse. Yeah.
So ladies should not actually wait for, I mean, 3 years, it's quite long.
Yeah, it's because of lack of awareness, and something, it's just, you know, a normal thing. Another thing that should actually worry a lady when it comes to infertility, probably, you know, at puberty, as I stated, we have something we call early comers and late comers. Early comers start their menses even as early as 9 years, as 11 years. If you reach 17 years and you haven't experienced any form of your periods, it's something that needs to be checked on. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Faith. I think we'll be taking a very short break. And when we come, we'll just be looking at probably, let me talk over treatment. We've looked at the issues to do with what infertility is, the causes of infertility. And according to our expert here, it's an issue of both men and women. So for members, or to the members of the society, infertility is not a women issue. It is both a men and women issue. And as Faith puts it, it's just a number of things that happen to our body. You should not actually just take them for granted. You should visit experts as far as infertility is concerned. So we'll take a very short break. We'll be right back in a few, definitely, with the solutions.
It's Christmas already here at Kirk TV. Are you a business looking to advertise your brand and products to potential customers? Are you looking to improve your sales as we end the year? Starting this October till January 31st, 2023, we are offering you, our customer, various discounts up to 50% off our advertising rates. Imagine paying half the price to reach customers countrywide. Usiwachwe nyuma hii krisi. Call our sales teams now on 0738-278-506 or 0739-971-607. Contact us on email bnkogie@kirktv.org or munyoroku@kirktv.org for more information. Hurry and book now. Pamoja tuvuke mwaka. It's the Kirk TV and your advert bonanza.
PCA Housing Cooperative Society Limited, a cooperative society under the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, brings you Baraka Gardens. Located 2.5 kilometers from Ardhi Shopping Center, 15 minutes from Thika Superhighway, are the 40 by 80 serviced plots. It is a fast developing area strategically located at a central place for easy access to the capital city and Thika town. Nearby social amenities include a police station and primary school, water and electricity. The plots sell at 560,000 Kenyan shillings for PCA Housing Society members, 600,000 shillings for non-members. The prices are inclusive of the title deed fee. For more information, call 0708 145 222, 0708 145 222. Hurry and grab your plot now. Pay a deposit of 200,000 Kenyan shillings and the balance in 3 months. Baraka Gardens by PCA Housing Cooperative Society Limited.
PCEA Githunguri Presbytery invites you for the 2022 Rites of Passage sessions starting from the 5th to 16th of December at Githiga Children's Center. Charges for boys are 8,300 Kenya shillings for the sessions. An alternative rites of passage for girls will start from 12th to 16th December. The charges are 5,300 Kenya shillings. Some of the topics to be covered will be Bible study and Christian growth, communication and relationships, manhood, womanhood and adulthood, self-awareness and peer influence, adolescence and sexuality, drugs and substance abuse, among other impactful topics. Registration is ongoing at all PCEA parishes within Githunguri and at the Githunguri Presbytery office. For more information, get in touch with Githunguri Presbytery office through their number 0721 844 064, 0721 844 064. You can also get in touch with Reverend Samuel Gakuya, Mr. George Kagodho, and Reverend Lydia Kahiga.
Welcome back to Kirk in the morning. We are definitely having quite a conversation this morning. We are looking at infertility, that is in both men and women. In the first part, which just in case you are not able to catch it, you can always go to our social media pages. That is Facebook and YouTube, that is Kirk TV Kenya. So on this particular part, we are going to look at the treatment options for infertility. Remember, earlier on, we were just looking at the causes, and with the help of Faith Kemunto, she's just been able to explain to us of how infertility happens, what are some of the causes, that is both in men and women. And now, Faith, let us just look at the treatment options that is for infertility.
Yeah, well, thank you once again for that question. Currently, we have many treatment options, but I'll be in a position to speak to the two powerful ones, or they are the largest options that we have. We have IVF. IVF is what we call in vitro fertilization. For a couple that is unable to conceive naturally, they can actually have their baby through IVF. So IVF is basically whereby fertilization occurs in the lab, whereby we get in vitro means outside. Fertilization, now it's the fertilization itself, the meeting of the egg and the sperm. So in such a scenario, we extract an egg from the lady. It's a process that we do. Once we, the lady, we actually look at the lady on her day 2 of her period. When we do a transvaginal scan, so that we can check out how many follicles are there or within that ovulation period, within that period. And then after we extract the eggs, we get the sperms as well from the man. The sperm and the egg are actually, there's tests that are being done. We they are mixed in the laboratory. After that has been done, an embryo is formed. You know, basically, when you're doing a natural conception, we start from the zygote and then the embryo and then the fetus. Now, when we're doing the in vitro fertilization, we have the embryo that has been formed now outside the uterus. Once this embryo has been formed, we do something we call a frozen embryo transfer. The embryo is frozen and then later on is transferred back to the uterus, and then the pregnancy is checked. Our IVF success rate currently at the center that I work at, it's at 56%. Yeah, and there's a way we derive that statistics, but that is a treatment option, IVF. Number 2, IUI.
Just before we go to IUI, now for the IVF, after fertilization has occurred outside, you now insert it to the woman now for her to carry the pregnancy normally. Yes, we do a procedure. It's a process called frozen embryo transfer, FET, whereby that embryo has already been formed, right, within the lab. So once it has been formed, it's frozen, and then the lady is you know, the embryo is transferred transvaginally. The lady is under, you know, anesthesia, and then it's, you know, transferred back to the uterus. We wait for 6 to 10 days, and then we do a blood test to see whether the implantation occurred or it did not occur. Yes. All right. You can that is IVF. Yeah. Okay. And then now we go to IUI. IUI is what we call intrauterine insemination. Maybe in normal language, whereby every other person can be in a position to understand, we know of AI, artificial insemination. So for human beings, it's called intrauterine insemination. This is a process whereby where we have a lady having blocked tubes, you understand, we have to do other, you know, surgical procedures and any other thing. So for IUI, intrauterine insemination, we get the sperms. We get a spermicide, and then these sperms are injected to the lady's, you know, fallopian tube, so that the egg can be, it's just directly injected to that egg, so that fertilization can take place now. That is what we call IUI. The difference between the two is the fact that for IVF, in vitro fertilization, both the man and the lady have to get their sample of the sperm and the egg fertilized outside and then later transferred. But for IUI, it's the man who gets the sperm so that they can be injected to the woman for fertilization to take place. Those are the major treatment areas that we look in. Now, and for the success rate of the second one?
Okay, globally, IUI is low, but at our center, the IUI success rate stands at 27%. Yeah, but IVF is always high. It has a higher success rate as opposed to IUI. Yes.
All right. And probably the number of couples or women or men that are seeking this particular solution, how is it? Is the number higher, or are people shying off from coming forth and just seeking this solution?
Oh, well, yeah. 95% of the patients that walk to these fertility centers are always women. In the beginning, if you can recall, I stated that, you know, infertility is always perceived as a female issue. So the females are the ones who come forth for the testings and, you know, any other checkup, and thereafter the men come. It's very rare, you know, even basically, even on normal, you know, any condition when a man has, you know, feeling bad, it's rare for them to walk into a facility even to get medications. Yeah, but mostly it's the females who walk in and thereafter they call their counterparts. But most of the cases, I always advise my, you know, patients to always come in as couples. As couples, so that they can both get checked. Yes, yeah.
And it's very key. I mean, when you're providing solutions, so that you're providing the solution not just for the lady, but for the man as well.
Exactly.
Let us now just look at, even as we wind up, on how to improve fertility. Whether I have been diagnosed to have an infertility issue or not. You've talked of we have these women that probably are unable to conceive for the first probably 3 months. How do I improve my fertility as a woman and as a man as well?
Okay, well, as I said, infertility is a reproductive, health system issue. So I would talk of a lifestyle mostly, because that is what at least you can be able to, sharpen on. You eat healthy, balanced, food, especially the nuts. For both, because it has a mineral called selenium that boosts fertility. And we have even other supplements that can actually improve the fertility.
All right, thank you so much, Faith. And now you've
something.
Sorry?
Yeah, I wanted to say something about freezing.
All right.
I would advise maybe ladies outside here who are busy in their careers and they feel like they're not yet ready for their babies. It's good that you come forth. You can be in a position to freeze your eggs. We call it egg freezing. So that once you freeze your eggs, you can come for your eggs once you're ready. So that whenever you reach maybe at 35, 40 years, you do not go ahead and start using donor eggs. You can have your eggs frozen and later on use your own eggs. So that at least the gene of your baby can still be part of your genome.
And it's something happening in the country?
It's something happening. We actually advise ladies in their career, those ones who are busy in their careers, to freeze their eggs. Same to male counterparts. Our male counterparts, especially those who live very far away from their, like in a scenario whereby, I'll give an example. Let's see that my husband probably stays in Kitale and I stay in Nairobi. We do not have a chances of meeting frequently. He can actually freeze his sperms from the other side, and then the sperms are transported to this place, and IUI is done to me. You never know. We have diseases that are coming, lifestyle diseases that come with time. We have people who have cancer before they go ahead to do their chemo, and these other cancer and these other treatments. They can actually freeze their sperms, they can freeze their eggs, and then they use them later.
Wow.
Yes, it's done at our facility. Yeah, that is technology. So that you do not come suffering in the near future. Look at our our brothers in the forces. Whenever they are going, or those ones in sports, maybe they are gone outside to do sports. I don't know whether either you've come across, whenever they are doing like football or something like that, you see somebody even bending. Maybe they have been hurt and now they bend lower. You know, that pain, it's so real that you can even feel the pain on their behalf. So with time, that place becomes traumatized. The body sends something we call soldiers to defend that place. So those soldiers can cause blockage of those tubes. So it's good if you're in sports and such things can happen. You can freeze your sperms so that whenever such a thing happens, you can still go back to get your sperms, and then you have your baby with your gene.
Wow, Faith, you've explained so well. Thank you so much. And if I've understood, I'm sure my audience or our audience have understood as well. And now I'll give you an opportunity, probably, if someone wants to reach Faith, if someone wants to get this knowledge from you, or just to improve their fertility as a couple or as an individual as well, where can they get you?
Yeah, well, I'm based in Nairobi, Westlands. Clinic is called Myra IVF Center. We do all those fertility related, solutions. You can come forth and reach to us. My number, I can give out my number. If you're okay using my number, it's 0727 955 044. That's my number. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Thank you so much for educating us, and just even as we continue creating awareness about infertility. So I think that is where we end the conversation at. Remember, we were looking at infertility that is in both men and women. And if you're just joining us, remember you can always go back to our social media pages, that is Facebook and YouTube, Kirk TV Kenya, to just get to learn together with us. So we'll take a very short break. As I mentioned earlier, today the world marks World Diabetes Day, and with the help of an educational video that is from Dr. Eric Njenga, a diabetologist at Aga Khan University Hospital, we'll just get to understand more about diabetes. So we take a very short break. We'll be right back with more.
It's Christmas already here at Kirk TV. Are you a business looking to advertise your brand and products to potential customers? Are you looking to improve your sales as we end the year? Starting this October till January 31st, 2023, we are offering you, our customer, various discounts up to 50% off our advertising rates. Imagine paying half the price to reach customers countrywide. Usiwachwe nyuma hii krisi. Call our sales teams now on 0738-278-506 or 0739-971-607. Contact us on email bnkogie@kirktv.org or munyoroku@kirktv.org for more information. Hurry and book now. Pamoja tuvuke mwaka. It's the Kirk TV end year advert bonanza.
PCA Housing Cooperative Society Limited, a cooperative society under the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, brings you Baraka Gardens. Located 2.5 kilometers from Ardhi Shopping Center, 15 minutes from Thika Superhighway at the 40/80 serviced plots. It is a fast developing area strategically located at a central place for easy access to the capital city and Thika town. Nearby social amenities include a police station and primary school, water and electricity. The plots sell at 560,000 Kenyan shillings for PCA Housing Society members, 600,000 shillings for non-members. The prices are inclusive of the title deed fee. For more information, call 0708 145 222, 0708 145 222. Hurry and grab your plot now. Pay a deposit of 200,000 Kenyan shillings and the balance in 3 months. Baraka Gardens by PCA Housing Cooperative Society Limited.
PCEA Githunguri Presbytery invites you for the 2022 Rites of Passage sessions starting from the 5th to 16th of December at Githiga Children's Center. Charges for boys are 8,300 Kenya shillings for the sessions. An alternative Rites of Passage for girls will start from 12th to 16th December. The charges are 5,300 Kenya shillings. Some of the topics to be covered will be Bible study and Christian growth, communication and relationships, manhood, womanhood and adulthood, self-awareness and peer influence, adolescence and sexuality, drugs and substance abuse, among other impactful topics. Registration is ongoing at all PCEA parishes within Githunguri and at the Githunguri Presbytery office. For more information, get in touch with Githunguri Presbytery office through their number 0721 844 064, 0721 844 064. You can also get in touch with Reverend Samuel Gakuya, Mr. George Kagodho, and Reverend Lydia Kahiga. It's Christmas already here at Kirk TV, the season of cheer and goodies. Are you a church organization and would like to air your end of year and New Year services? Are you thinking of reaching a wider audience and showcasing your Christmas cantatas and concerts? Have you thought about showcasing your Sunday school services to the entire country? Then, Kirk TV is offering you the end year advert bonanza. We will cover and broadcast all the above events at up to 50% off our normal rates starting this October till January 2023. Usiwachwe nyuma hii krisi. Call our sales team now on 0738-278-506 or 0739-971-607. Send an email bnkogie@kirktv.org or munyoroku@kirktv.org for more information. Hurry and book now. Pamoja tuvuke mwaka. It's the Kirk TV End Year New Year Advert Bonanza. Are you looking to be a homeowner? Or are you looking into investing in land? Then worry no more. PCEA Housing Cooperative Society Limited presents to you Fadhili Annex Gardens 50 by 100 plots. Located in Katafu Road, approximately 8 kilometers from the main road, the plots sell at affordable prices of 460,000 Kenya shillings for PCEA Housing Cooperative Society members and 500,000 Kenya shillings for non-members. Pay a deposit of 150,000 Kenya shillings and the balance is payable in 6 monthly installments. All the plots have ready titles. For more information, call 0708 145 222, 0708 145 222 or email pceahousinglimited@gmail.com. Fadhili Annex Gardens by PCEA Housing Cooperative Society Limited. Christmas already here at Kirk TV.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying tuned. That is to Kirk in the morning right here on Kirk TV. Earlier on we were just looking at infertility, that is both for men and women. We've been able, with the help of Faith Kemunto, to just look at the causes as well as the treatment options in the market. Remember, if you're just joining in, you can always get the conversation via social media, that is Facebook and YouTube at Kirk TV Kenya. And as I mentioned earlier, today, that is every 14th of November, the world marks World Diabetes Day. And as I mentioned earlier on, definitely that is at the Ministry of Health. We'll be having an event just to continue sensitizing and creating awareness about diabetes. That is both for diabetes type 1 as well as diabetes type 2. Not forgetting that is a gestational diabetes, the diabetes that comes about during pregnancy. And we'll now just get to listen in. That is from Dr. Eric Njenga, who is a diabetologist at Aga Khan University Hospital, just trying to help us understand what diabetes is, how it comes about. He'll just be focusing on the 3 types of diabetes as I mentioned earlier. So first, let's listen in to Dr. Eric Njenga.
Move straight to our topic, which is just looking at different types of diabetes, with particular emphasis today on type 1 diabetes. So what is diabetes? And diabetes comes about because there's a problem with regard to the production of insulin in the body. Now, insulin comes from a very important organ in our body called the pancreas. And we have very important cells that are in the pancreas called the beta cells, and we have other types called the alpha cells. So when we have destruction of the beta cells specifically, then now we have a problem with regard to the amount of insulin that is produced. And in certain settings, you can have what is called autoimmune destruction of the beta cells, where you basically have antibodies that are produced abnormally by the body, which instead of doing their correct role of trying to help the body fight infection, then they actually turn against the body's own cells. So it's similar to what is called a civil war. So the army, most times in any particular country, does an important role of protecting the citizens. But you may have a situation where the army may go rogue and start to attack its own citizens. So that's what basically autoimmune conditions mean. And there are several types of autoimmune conditions, diabetes being one of them. But you can have antibodies being formed abnormally, and they could attack, for example, your joints, and you can get rheumatoid arthritis. They could attack your thyroid gland, and you can get hypothyroidism. They could attack your kidneys, and you get conditions like lupus. So when specifically they zero in and attack the beta cells of the pancreas, which are the ones that specifically produce insulin, then that's when now we start to get type 1 diabetes specifically. And also other conditions, for example, if you have excess accumulation of fat, it makes it very difficult for insulin to actually work in the body, and that's called insulin resistance, which now leads to another type of diabetes called type 2 diabetes. So we also have the role of the alpha cells, which play a bigger role in the setting of type 2 diabetes. And these tend to produce a hormone called glucagon, which also makes it very difficult for insulin to act. We call it a counter-regulatory hormone. Because what it does specifically is that once it's released, it goes to the liver and causes the liver to actually produce or release excess amounts of glucose into the bloodstream. So diabetes can be viewed as an abnormality, specifically affecting the beta cells, which are destroyed by antibodies, like in the setting of type 1 diabetes. In the setting of type 2 diabetes, the function of the beta cell is also severely compromised, predominantly because of excess fat tissue. So you tend to get breakdown of the fats, which now makes it a very toxic environment for the beta cells. And as the sugars progressively rise, the high sugars themselves also become very toxic to the beta cells. Then we have the alpha cells producing glucagon, which will now lead to a further release of glucose into the bloodstream from the liver. Okay. We also have another type of diabetes called gestational diabetes, which is what we see in the setting of pregnancy. And again, women who get gestational diabetes tend to have certain risk factors which make them more predisposed to developing this condition. So for example, if the body mass index of a lady before pregnancy is above 30, so if she is overweight with a high body mass index of above 30, her risk of developing gestational diabetes is high. Any person with a family history, if you're looking at the first degree relatives, meaning your father, mother, or brother or sister has diabetes type 2, there's also a bigger risk. If you've had previous multiple pregnancy losses, that should be a key factor to make someone look very hard for diabetes in the setting of pregnancy. Or if you get unexplained stillbirth, where a baby is born and dies a few days after birth, or dies within the womb, then again, these are all conditions that should point someone towards thinking about diabetes. So sadly, women lose pregnancies multiple times, and at times they're not screened for diabetes. So very, very important that every woman who is pregnant at 24 to 28 weeks must be screened for any possibility of gestational diabetes. And these are simple tests which can be done. And it's done in the lab, where they simply give the lady a glucose load, and they check her sugar before the fasting sugar, which is in the morning, before she has anything to eat. She gets the glucose load, then they check the sugar again at 1 and 2 hours. Then based on that, we can decide, does the lady have either gestational diabetes or that's completely absent in that particular setting. Again, there are scenarios where women can develop diabetes very early in the pregnancy. Like I said, we test at 24 to 28 weeks for gestational diabetes. But you may find a woman at 12 weeks, 14 weeks having very high sugars. That likely means that she had type 2 diabetes, which was not diagnosed. Then she ended up getting pregnant. And once you get pregnant, the placenta itself produces a lot of hormones, which make it very difficult for insulin to act. So we get very high levels of progesterone, for example, estrogen, and what is called human placental lactogen. So all these, they do the same thing that fat tissue does. So they create a lot of insulin resistance. And you require much higher doses of insulin from your pancreas to try and control the sugars. So if you don't have an adequate supply or reserve of beta cells, then that's why you start to manifest with the gestational diabetes. And very important that any lady who has been diagnosed with gestational diabetes needs to be screened after delivery for the rest of her life. Because the risk of developing type 2 diabetes is around 30 to 50%, which is fairly high. So I start to manifest with the gestational diabetes. And very important that any lady who has been diagnosed with gestational diabetes needs to be screened after delivery for the rest of her life. Because the risk of developing this every year, she must have a fasting blood glucose checked, or a test called HbA1c, which I'll explain a bit later when you come to diagnosis, to at least ensure that she does not progress from gestational diabetes over to type 2 diabetes. Okay? So those will be the main types, and that will be the basic mechanism of how people get diabetes.
Well, that is Dr. Eric Njenga, a diabetologist at Aga Khan University Hospital, just trying to help us understand what diabetes is and the different types that we have. That is type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and gestational diabetes, which happens during pregnancy. He's been able to explain to us of how both or just among the three diabetes, how exactly they come about. We'll now be looking at some of the signs that will present themselves for you to know that you have diabetes. That is for both type 1 diabetes, which according to Dr. Eric Njenga is most likely to affect children. Type 2 diabetes, which comes later on in life as age progresses. But this does not mean that a child or someone young can actually get type 2 diabetes. Let's listen into some of the signs that will present themselves. That is for both type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes.
So very, very common. In fact, one of the common presenting symptoms for type 1 diabetes is frequent urinary tract infections. And these are quite common in children. So kids who are presenting with recurrent urinary tract infections, candidiasis, recurrent candidiasis in young girls, and also for women who are presenting with recurrent candidiasis in adulthood, one of the key things to think about is to look for diabetes, either type 1 or type 2, depending on the age. Another common infection is skin fungal infections, especially very common, for example, in the genital region. If you look at the folds of the groin, we tend to get the commonest sites because there's a moisture there. Those are very common sites for infection. In between the toes is a very, very common site of infection. And a lot of people who have type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes, we always make it a point that you must examine their feet, because you'll find that there are very extensive fungal infections between the toes. That fungal infection creates a break in the skin, and again, that can be an entry site for infection. So once bacteria colonize that particular area, then again, you can end up having the complication of diabetic foot. Nail infections, fungal nail infections, what we call onychomycosis, is also very common. So what are the common sites of infection that we see? Thrush in the mouth can also be another symptom that can suggest that someone has underlying diabetes. So as doctors, we look for those key areas. Genital tract, either UTI or candidiasis, which can occur both in men and women. Again, fungal infection in the skin, in between the toes, and also oral thrush in the cavity. Recurrent flus, recurrent pneumonias which are unexplained, are also things that you have to look out for. Yeah.
Well, those are just some of the signs that will present themselves. That is as far as type 1 diabetes is concerned. For type 2 diabetes, some of the things that probably you should look at are things to do with probably tiredness, frequent urination, as well as thirst. You can also just get to know that you could be developing type 1 diabetes if you have blurry eyesight. This is where you are not able to see properly. Then you need to go and see a diabetologist for a diagnosis or just for checkup. Remember, as Dr. Eric Njenga has just pointed out, actually that is an amputation of the lower limb is actually one of, or amputation of the lower limb is one of the major causes of type 2 diabetes, as well as blindness. So these are just some of the signs that you should look at just to be able to prevent diabetes, or for an early diagnosis of diabetes. As I mentioned, that is the educational video that is from Dr. Eric Njenga, was coming to you courtesy of the World Health Organization, that will actually be marked today. Actually, that is the Ministry of Health is already having a function that is as far as the World Diabetes Day is concerned. And I'll just be updating you on what exactly the Minister of Health, or the CS of Health, that is Susan Nakhumicha, will just be speaking as far as diabetes and more so insulin is concerned. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think that is where we leave Kirk in the morning at. Thank you so much for keeping me company from 8 a.m. until now. If you're just joining us, you've missed a lot, but you can always find them on our social media, Facebook and YouTube, Kirk TV Kenya. My name is Aida Munzatsi. I'm wishing you a blessed Monday.